Alright, so here is the setup, essentially transferred to the recaro setup. So you see you've got a little, the screw that was part of the stock seat, just holding on the hinge for the sliding system. So you kind of just take off the stuff off the stock seat, because you're going to have to, even with the recaro brackets, you got to take at least that stuff off of your stock seat frame. And you can see where it screws in here to the stock seat frame. So you can actually see that, it looks like, because this screw hole right here is actually in the frame, whereas on the recaro brackets it's actually above the frame. You think, well, you know what, I'm betting that the recaros in the back are the recaro seat frames are going to sit a little lower. Well, that's if you don't fit your recaro seat down in that gap right there. So I think that mine are actually sitting and welded right on here. So what my game plan is here is to cut all the springs off, and then you can also cut off this front part right here. Alright? And then we have to figure out a way to replicate, all we need to replicate really are the screw holes in a sheet of metal that gets, or not sheet, but bar of metal that gets welded onto this right here and right here. And I think the height's going to be very similar. As a matter of fact, it might even be lower in the front, where it maybe can be lower in the front with this setup, because you look at how high this bar is here relative to the frame. I guess it's just a little above the tip of the top of the T. So let's see over here. Over here, we're well above the tip of the top of the T for the track. So I think that the front of the stock seat frames will most likely sit significantly lower, because it's almost about equal with the top of the T there. Whereas this one right here, alright, got it? Now, and of course we can always raise things up pretty easily with a spacer or whatever before we put the rail on there. But the back, now, so there's the tip of the T, there's that, there's the screw. You say, well, if you were sitting on top of here, this is definitely higher than the recaro. But if we sit on top of the highest point, it's not that much higher than the tip of the T. And I think that's probably where it's going to go. It's possible it could sit on this bracket, right? So here, that's a good inch above the T. This here, definitely not an inch, maybe a ½ inch above the T. But I guess, we'll add a bar of metal on top and weld it to this to make sure that you got a solid thing for your seat frame. Actually, very simply, where do these bars line up? Now look at, what we need to focus on is probably more the bolt holes than anything else. Okay, so it's inside, but how far inside? What did they do on my car? Alright, my car, it looks like my recaro seats sit well inside there. This is that piece of metal on the outside edge that was cut off, and at least on the outside it was cut off. On the inside, it's hard to see because I've got this console here. And I don't know if mine are quite as wide as the ideals. If you look from the back, it is welded on at the highest point up here. You got drop 1, drop 2, and it definitely is welded on at that point. So let's see. Maybe they actually, no, if the whole bar's there. They welded it right on. Okay.